Today I'm going to show you the books I've got to read for my second semester at university. This year I have 2 new modules. Last year I had 3 modules, one called Reading Texts, Forms of Narrative and Writing for Academic Success. I still have Reading Texts, but I now have a Gender and Writing module and a Contemporary Writing module, which I'm really excited about. First I'm going to show you some books that weren't actually on my reading list, but they've been so helpful. Here they are. It is Literary Theory and Anthology. It's the 2nd edition, edited by Julie Rivkin and Michael Ryan, and it's published by Blackwell, just in case you wanted to know that. I saw this book, I'm going to put the other one down, it's behind it, in a video by Just Kiss My Frog, and she said it was really interesting. She said it was almost like her Bible, and I tell you what, I've only been at university for 1 semester and this book has been so useful to me. I haven't actually made that many marks in it, but I've used, how many S's? I've used loads of S's. Oh, there's a postcard in there, that's for I'm giving that Tree Paper book, so yeah, anyway. I've used Artist Technique by Victor Shklovsky, The Uncanny by Sigmund Freud. That really saved my essay on Frankenstein at one point, seriously. Oh, that's another postcard I'm giving her. What's the other one? Oh, and what's it called? Free Women's Texts? Who's that by? Free Women's Texts and a Critique of Imperialism by Gayatri Shah. I picked like the worst name I just can't pronounce. See if you can read that name. And everyone is Beginning Theory by Peter Barry. He is honestly like he is just insanely good at what he does, and it's really helped me actually, especially with I looked at cultural materialism, I think that's what it's called, yes, and it's got a lot in here, everything from lesbian gay criticism and psychoanalysis, what has happened to me? Anyway, I can't pronounce any words. It's just insane how good this is and how easy it is to read. And again, I found this through Just Kiss My Frog, who, to be honest, I think she was like the first YouTuber I really watched, because I was thinking about doing a degree in English and I wasn't quite sure. And I watched the videos kind of on university, and they really helped me. And she mentions this. So for my actual required reading, I'm going to start with my reading text module. The first book is a book that I'm not looking forward to. It's not really a book, it's a collection of poetry. It's the Oxford English book. No, it's not. It's the Oxford Book of English Verse, edited by Christopher Riggs. I like poetry just as the next man. But I don't know. I think it's because we are looking really closely at sonnets and odes. And I know they're not my favourite kind of thing, like, ever. I mean, I enjoy them and I'm interested in them and I'm actually studying them, but they scare me a little bit, because identifying poetry in different types of rhythm and different types of structure and metre was never my strong point, so I think it's more scary. It's like I'm scared at that than actually the contents of this book. But we're also looking at, I think, dramatic monologues and contemporary poetry and stuff, which I really love. So it's all going to be fine, but it just looks a bit scary. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. I got this in a Penguin English Library edition because I love Penguin English Library editions and I have quite a few of them, so it will just stand nicely with all my others. It's absolutely tiny. It's kind of like a psychological fantasy thing. What's to say? A dark psychological fantasy. See? And like they are holiday of a split personality and things, and I'm really excited for this. There are also, obviously there's only like 1 novel really, I think, I'm just checking my notes, for reading text, which is like nothing. But there are loads of poems. I've got like literally pages of poems we're going to be studying, and also short stories. There's a lot of short stories, which I think they'll put online for us. My contemporary writing module is a module that I'm really kind of excited for, because it kind of is highly, I guess, political. And what I really like is that they've actually given themes for like each book and each kind of section. Like each thing we kind of discuss is like done like thematically, if that makes sense. For example, the first book is Then We Came to the End by Joshua Ferris, which I'm currently reading, and I'm really enjoying. We're looking at this kind of novel. In my lecture today, they gave another kind of thing, like another theme that it comes under, but what they put up is it's trauma, memory, and 9/11. Obviously, this obviously isn't about 9/11, but it's looking at the vision of America, as in how America was before 9/11, and researching how literature has changed. And so even those themes may not be directly like inside this novel, it kind of all comes around and makes sense. We're also looking at the film United 93 within those kind of themes as well. Zetoon by Dave Eggers, a story about Hurricane Katrina, a book that is very much one that kind of challenges where is it fiction, is it fact, and I'm really interested in that. And also I have to say the cover is actually kind of beautiful, which is kind of sad because it's a picture of a very, very flooded and just really kind of sad, I guess, event. But also, to be honest, Then We Came to the End, it's also got amazing cover as well. I love the font on this one. This comes into race, biopolitics, and I forgot what it is, and Hurricane Katrina, obviously. The next couple of books look at the post-colonial city, and the first one is Animals, People by Indra Sinha. I'm really bad at pronouncing the name, and I don't know anything about this book, so it's about a boy. I should really research before I make a video. Ever since he can remember, Animal's gone on all fours, the catastrophic result of what happened on that night, when, thanks to an American chemical company, the apocalypse visited his slum. Now, not yet 20, he leads a hand-to-mouth existence with his dog Jara, and a crazy old nun called Ma Francie, and spends his nights wondering what it must be like to get laid. I'm really interested in that, and I've actually only just read the blurb, which is really bad. This is a book that I would never pick up. Honestly, if I saw this book, I wouldn't pick it up. Just because it just doesn't seem like anything I'd be interested in if I was reading for pleasure. So this is what I love at university, because it makes me read books that I wouldn't consider really reading. Not because of anything like wrong with the book, just because it doesn't really kind of fall into kind of the categories, but it will do, like it will have a lot of themes I'm really interested in, but like when I'm looking for a book in a bookshop, I wouldn't be drawn to this. It wouldn't seem a book that would really interest me, and that's what I'm interested in. It's like all of this, like a lot of these books actually, they're not books that I pick up for pleasure, but I'm glad that university is making me read them in a way. Zoo City by Lauren Bukes looks at the post-colonial city in Johannesburg, and it says it's filed under urban fantasy, and I don't actually understand, which sounds very weird. I don't actually understand the blurb. It's a very striking cover though, but I really don't know what this is about, and I'm not quite sure what to think of it really, because again, urban fantasy is something that I would actually stay pretty clear of. In fact, I actually don't read a lot of fantasy. Urban, yes, totally, but fantasy, I'm not quite sure. But again, I'm interested in looking at it because it is a book that I would not normally pick up. Another theme is immigration in Europe, and we're going to be watching a movie called In This World, which came out in 2002. We're also going to be studying a book that I'm really excited to study On Black Sister Street by Chika Unigui. Really bad. This is a book that I would pick up anyway. It's stuff that I'm very interested in. One, I have to say this cover is very striking, and it's about women who are trafficked from Africa and they end up as prostitutes in Belgium. And I'm interested in prostitution in literature and in issues around that, and in gender and race issues in literature in general. And it just seems as a really brilliant book, and kind of looking at humanity and things. And I'm really excited to read this one. And focusing on virtuality in the media, we're going to be watching a couple of episodes of Black Mirror, and also reading a book I think called Hollow Theme, by I think by Luke Kennard, I think that's his name. But unfortunately that book is actually not available, kind of really available, to be honest. I don't think it's actually kind of been put into print, especially for people out in university, so we can read it and study it. And I'm not quite sure why, and I'm not quite sure where you could get a copy of that book, but it's not widely available, I don't think. A short story that I actually don't know where it kind of belongs anymore is The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. I mean, the Yellow Wallpaper is just a tiny short story within this book of short stories by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. I actually already own this, and there are loads of short stories, but I can't remember for which module this is in, that'll be available on the internet for us, as we kind of study, and we will kind of annotate when the time comes. But I already owned the Yellow Wallpaper, so I've kind of got this. And also I really like annotating like properly in a book with a pen, really kind of destroying it in a very good manner, like in a student-y manner. So for gender and writing, a module that I'm really excited about because I love feminisms, the different kinds of feminism, and like there is masculinity and femininity and different and sexuality and all of that kind of thing. So this module, I just can't even think. It's just going to be so good, hopefully. And it begins with a play by August. I keep saying August Strindberg. Strindberg. I mean, you'd think that name would be simple, but for me, no. Nothing is ever simple. And one of my tutors actually said how much I would really enjoy Miss Julie, because I really like Ibsen and I'm interested in realism and theatre. And I mean, I've read it and I don't know how I feel about this. It is a naturalistic play. I honestly don't know how I feel about it. It is different to Ibsen, isn't it? Ibsen for me was almost about your mind. Like it was, so much was underneath. And I mean, obviously a lot of this stuff is underneath, but there is so much, it's almost more visual in a weird way. It's not necessarily visual, I don't know, it is very different and I didn't enjoy it as much. It wasn't, I don't know, it just didn't really click with me. There are certain things that are very, very powerful and it's really interesting and you really want to know what happens, because I didn't think it would end like it did, to be honest. I mean, I kind of got, a bit of like sense, but it was a really good play, but it didn't quite click with me. But I see how my tutor made that thing, because like naturalism and realism are kind of, similar, I guess. 1984 by George Orwell, obviously looking at like the idea of Big Brother state. I can't keep the book up straight. We're actually looking at this new gender in writing, which is really fascinating to me, and looking at the idea of a change in masculinity, which I love anything to do with masculinity, to be honest. It's something that really interests me. The Fat Black Woman's Poems by Grace Nichols. It's like a tiny collection of poetry. What I really love is actually inside this book, because I buy all my books secondhand. Like the majority of books I buy just for me are always secondhand, but this book actually has notes, obviously, from somebody's own annotation. But what I love is that in the bottom, they've maybe been put in a group at one point, and this was maybe like notes from a group, that it's actually got like their names in the corner, and it's and it says Claire, Greg and Wad, and it just is really weird to me that I think that somebody in the English department in Allswood or Hyde Penrith, and now there's another Claire reading it, which I just really love. I'm really excited to read these poems because it obviously has to do with race and obviously gender, and I really like this kind of poetry. And this is a very kind of famous and very not well regarded, like critically acclaimed collection of poetry. We're obviously studying some more poems, and then we are looking at Passing by Nell Larsen, which is a novella, which again know very little about, but my tutor at the moment is actually going to be doing the lecture on this and looking at race in particular, and my tutor is amazing. I've only had her like once, but she's really passionate about kind of what she studies, which I guess is like the main point of university. But it's going to be really good to look at this. And again, I know very little about this book. I really don't like this cover. It's by Dover, and I have to say, I really dislike Dover covers and design. Sounds really bad, but it's the font and but what matters is what's inside, and what's inside sounds amazing. Trumpet by Jackie Kay, a book that I'm extremely excited to study, and it's a moving story of a shared life founded on an intricate lie of living deception and lasting devotion, and the intimate workings of the human heart. So excited. I'm really excited to study this. It's basically about a man who was actually biologically a woman, and how that has been kept secret and kind of the implications of that, I guess. And when the lecturer was talking about it, he said that to like have some jazzy music going on in the background while you're reading it. And yes. So I think that's about it. There are a lot of obviously short stories and poems and stuff and films that I haven't probably mentioned and will be kind of put on the internet at a later date. But I'm really looking forward to the semester because there's a lot of books that I would never have picked up, and a lot of books that I've been wanting to read and meaning to read for a long time but haven't really found that time to read them. So it's a good job that my university is almost making me read them. If you have any questions about any of these books, please let me know, or just about my university experience so far, or doing a degree in English literature. But obviously, I'm only in my second semester, so I know absolutely nothing. But if you do want to ask me some questions, please feel free.